us from every risk and hell. We dive deep into the stories behind the rail. Respecting the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best, we can't hide. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best, we can't hide. We dive deep into the stories behind the ring. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best.
And we are live. What's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 253, and we are joined by the good brother himself. Hold on one sec. Let's bring him back in here. What's going on, Zach? What's going on, brother? How's everything, man? Oh, did we lose Zach here? And we lost him. Hold on one sec, ladies and gentlemen. And there we go. Can you hear us now?
Hello. Yes, I
What's going
can.
on,
Sorry
brother?
about that.
How's
Yeah,
everything?
just I think it was all the banner notifications of you sharing it on Twitter and Instagram. They just popped up and everything just shorted out. You know, my phone
Oh,
couldn't
my
handle
apologies. My apologies.
it. No, it's not you. Yeah, I blame Apple, honestly.
There you go. But what's going on, man? Welcome to the show here.
Not much. I'm over at SRG Universe's The Grand Gathering. I'm over here in Cleveland, Ohio, or Westlake, Ohio, technically. And it's been a blast. It's really the first full day was today. We had a little bit of a pre-show gimmick last night with a tournament and some drafts, and it was really, a great time. And, we were partying up till all hours of the night, hanging out, smoking cigars. Maybe a couple Steve Weisers got cracked. You know how it goes. Tonight,
I love
this
to hear
afternoon, we
it,
had
man.
TJ Marconi stop in. Super, super good. Obviously, he's been doing the signings and, playing as well, throwing big boots all around, knocking people out the ring, metaphorically speaking, of course. So,
I would hope
and yeah,
so.
for those who don't know, we're watching SRG Universe, the super show, the #1 wrestling card game in the world. Live out your wildest wrestling fantasies without ever taking a bump or a chair shot. But it's fun for us too, it's a blast for us to, get in there and chop it up with, all the fans and.
No, definitely.
But yeah,
so.
doing
love,
that, and I'm
love
here.
it. Shout out to them.
We're in the hotel. I snagged a conference room. Of course, got to be professional when you're on the line with Ray Sanchez. The law, you got to bring it. Got to come correct. So snuck away, tried to.
Gotcha. No,
and of
thank
course
you, brother.
now
Thank you.
I'm
Again.
But yeah, it's been a blast. But I'm looking forward, like we had talked about a couple of days ago, and even beforehand. This wrestling project, or this Project Wrestling Sinatra show, is going to be incredible. This Hoboken show.
Oh no, definitely. We definitely have to get into that.
Really
We'll be getting into that in just a little bit because I can't wait to talk about all this. It will be Project Codename Wrestling presents Sinatra this coming May 17th. But before we get into that, before we get into the performance, all that good stuff, also talking SRG in a little bit, I do have to ask you the question I ask everyone that comes on, Zach, and that is, you heard the name of the show. It's called Respect the Craft. So when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean to you?
I mean, that's everything, right? Like the craft it encompasses professional out of the ring, understanding of the history, the goals, the performance and the business aspect. Like it's all about that stuff. Again, like some people great at performance, they slack on cardio and their body or whatever. Some people great at looking the part, not so great at acting the part. It's all, it encompasses everything. And then you have some people, who have all the intangibles. They have a great look, great gimmick. They connect, but backstage, nobody wants to work with them. They can't make times, whatever it is. And that kills it too, so again, the respecting the craft is kind of, again, it encompasses every aspect of that. And like, for me, I think that's so, again, I've been in the business for 10 years. I'd still consider myself like a rookie. And like, I don't know anything. I've worked with guys that are so far above me. Like, you see the difference between, again, someone who's been in it for 10 years and then someone who's been at the highest level for 10 years and they've been in the business maybe 25. It's so different.
No, definitely. So it's one of those where it's still always going to be a ever learning process. Like, still
Exactly.
being in this for such a short time myself as well. And I'm still, every locker room I'm in, every time I get around, especially the vets, I'm just trying to learn as much as possible. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? This is why we were always taught, keep this like this, keep these wide open,
Yep.
and just soak in all the information we can. So
absolutely. And again, like I said, I've had the opportunity through House of Glory and other companies as well, getting out to Gato Move and even all the way out to Thailand to work with people who AJ Styles, Jinsei, Emi Sakura, Cody Rhodes, Rey Mysterio, Amazing Red, obviously, a legend too, trainer, and having been able to ref his matches, tag matches with him and Crimson, big matches with Ray or RVD, stuff like that. You learn just so much just from watching, again, listening to them, do their work.
oh, definitely. And again, getting to truly see the craft right there, right in front of you, getting to learn just from the process.
Front
But
row
I do have
seat.
to ask you,
Referee was like, I kind of fell into the process, but I will say that,
yeah.
from a learning perspective, there's no better route to go. I think it might be the transition is the tough part, and maybe we could touch on that for
No, yeah,
maybe a little bit.
we're definitely gonna get into that because I do want to
Transition's
ask
tough,
you
but
that the initial getting into the craft, what was it for you that finally made you decide, you know what, I want to step into this? And what was the initial reasoning? Was wrestling the wrestler route that you wanted to go initially, or was possibly the
So
refereeing side of it?
I wanted to be a pro wrestler. So
Gotcha.
I have like a very interesting path to wrestling. I think, obviously, like, it's similar to a lot of people in that, they grew up, they wanted to be a wrestler when they were 5 years old. It was a childhood dream. That's the same. But I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut. Like, Bob Backlund is a family friend. I saw him at Mad Weddings before I was even 6 years old. He put me in the chicken wing. I could recite the presidents. Like, his wife taught gymnastics for 25 years with my uncle. So like, he was just a family friend. Like, like I said, I grew up in Greenwich. I've met every McMahon throughout my life. I sold movie tickets to Vince and Linda. I did magic for Shane's kids at a bookstore, a Walden Books on Greenwich Ave when I was like 16. My sister's best friend took Shane to prom. Like, it's just a weird connection to like wrestling. Like, I lived around it, and it was just like always involved. And my mom has pictures. She worked part-time at a deli right down the street from the original WWE headquarters, and she's got pictures with Andre and Savage and Hogan, like, just coming in to get sandwiches. Like, it's crazy. It's just like part of life. And then I started taking martial arts when I was really little, like Taekwondo. But then, like, I always wanted to be a wrestler, so I started wrestling in high school. So from like 13 years old to 18, 19, I was really, amateur wrestling was a really big part of my life. Someone's trying to get in. Amateur wrestling was a really big part of my life. And then I moved into mixed martial arts because, like, when I was 18, the Ultimate Fighter was like just coming out. Like, Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner was like, I think I was 17 or 18 when that shit happened. So like, that just grabbed me immediately. Because again, I had a Taekwondo background. I loved martial arts, obviously. Like, I loved Jackie Chan movies and Shaolin Showdown and all that shit. And then to see this, like, oh, you can do this for real? And so I
that was it. It got
transitioned.
you that
Yeah,
initial connection right
in
there.
college, I did judo, and I stayed. There was like a unofficial club wrestling team. The school or my college wouldn't like sign the liability stuff. This is like the insurance and shit. But we had like an unofficial club team. I did judo, and then I went to Thailand. Like a lot of people, some people know that, but not a lot of people. So I lived in Thailand for 2 years, and I trained Muay Thai over there, and it was great. But it hurts a lot, like way more than wrestling. Like getting like you get your ass beat for sure, and like I like fighting, but like it sucks. So like I love pro
I can
wrestling.
imagine that's a whole nother type of
It's
just
another
discipline there. That
just
is a
another
whole
level, right?
nother
Like
level of it, of just insanity. It just, again, the whole discipline, the whole training style, the whole just regimen, I can imagine is a whole different thing that,
yeah, and also
and
Thailand's
again, I give you
95
respect for that.
degrees. Every day is 95 degrees, like 90% humidity. So you're doing all of that, and it's also sweltering.
I can imagine, again, that helps with cardio at least.
It definitely
But shout out to
Yo,
Danny
Danny
Nemesis in the
shout out
chat.
to my
What's going
man.
on, brother?
Yo.
But okay, but you go through that.
So that's
and,
what happened. When I was in Thailand, the
Yeah.
only wrestling I had was old school 1 hour NXT, and I subscribed to Honor Club to get the 1 hour Ring of Honor broadcast. And
got you.
being in martial arts, right? Like, and having like a traditional wrestling background, those two shows really like reignited that fire, because those shows were so like heavy MMA influenced. The presentation of them was
perfect.
so
Yeah, it's a little too perfect that those were the ones you were watching, especially at that time that NXT
right, and it
had so many people that were a part of that independent circuit at one point, and then you look at that era of ROH, that man, the who's who of who you can imagine.
Again, I was watching Ring of Honor again. When I was watching Ring of Honor, it was like Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin versus the Briscoes, like like that kind of stuff. Steen and Generico on top doing ladder war, and Jimmy Jacobs and Steve Corino. Amazing, what a lineup! Adam Cole versus the Adam Cole Matt Hardy feud. Low-key unbelievable. But like, so I was there doing the Thailand stuff, and so I was like, I'm moving back to New York City. There has to be a wrestling school. Like, there can't not be a wrestling school. It's New York City.
So even at that point, though, you're there. You're at that point of just like, you're doing this. You've sacrificed 2 years of your life here. You're doing this. You're training, just again, an insane, disciplined sport.
Yeah,
and you're
it's just
still like, you know what?
I'd rather focus on the storytelling, performance aspect of what martial arts can be than the competitive, like much more, in my opinion, much more risky endeavor of being like an amateur or professional fighter, right? Like,
gotcha.
That could have been a route I took. I don't, again, like you might say like, oh, you don't have the mentality. Like, yeah, I don't. Like, I don't want to like maybe die or like maybe kill someone, but like,
gotcha.
you know, that would suck. Or like rupture someone's fucking spleen. Like, that would be terrible. Like, I don't, you know, like I've been.
Which, that is the thing. Let's also, not to pull the curtain back a little too much, could possibly still happen in a wrestling ring.
But you try, again, like we really try our hardest to make sure that it doesn't happen. So you can wrestle, of course, you know, again, at the top level, the WWE, you guys are, those guys are wrestling 5 times a week, 300 times a year.
Of course, like, it's still.
So, or, you know, maybe the schedule's a little lighter now. 250, 200 times a year, still though.
It's still
a mixed martial artist has what, 2 fights a year, 3 maybe.
Yeah, if that. Yeah,
it's way different. You know what I mean? It's just a way different. You know, like a way different type of sacrifice. And I just thought that, you know, obviously the passion and love that I had for wrestling since I was a little kid, you know, watching it with my dad and older brother, you know, plus the, you know, the years of the martial arts experience, like I would much rather, you know, transition that to the wrestling, you know, the pro wrestling world and telling those stories, you know.
So now you decide that you're like, you know what, I'm going to go back. There has to be something. How do we now find
the Google machine?
That works. Google
Maps,
it is.
actually. Google Maps, low key, really good for stuff like this. But I just, Googled. I went to New York City. I was in Bangkok in my room. I remember it so clearly. It was like 2 a.m. And
Gotcha.
I was just like, I went to Google Maps. I scrolled over to New York City, and I was like, wrestling schools. Click. And Johnny Rods came up, and House of Glory came up. And that was it. And I was like, House of Glory, what? And it was red. And like there was like a video with Piper in it. And like I had watched Amazing Red on TNA on like Fox Sports 1 when I was like 15.
Got you.
And I like so much so like, I mean, bro, I was a nerd too, but like so much so that like I didn't like Kofi because
Just because he hit the duck one time.
No, he stole the Trouble in Paradise. Red used to do the tornado kick, the 540, and then he made it his finish. And I was like, bro, that's Red's move. That's it.
Oh,
I was like,
oh, got
but like, you know,
I love it.
I was never a big guy too. So like, I was like, well, this is perfect. Like,
Yeah.
And you know, that went how it went.
Well, so now, okay, so we get there. This is where now we make that transition talk here, because we get into that. You find the school. You're going in for that. You're going in to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
How do we then get to the Zachary Snow we know? How do we get to?
Well, I mean, so like anyone who's ever been to a wrestling school or like seen clips or whatever, like there's always got to be a ref for practice matches and stuff. So I would just always do it, especially because I was like one of the younger guys. Like I was probably like the third class of House of Glory. Like it was like me, Broadway, Adam, but like before us, and there was a couple of people around us, like George and Gabe, and like Toasty Tom came a little bit later. But like before us, there's like, you know, New York Wrecking Crew and Gangone, Smiley, you know, Quinn, and even Isaiah. Hashtag
yeah, because they were. Yeah, they were that first second Flanders
hashtag
that
not
went
before
around
18.
there.
But yeah, there's like Matthews. There's like a lot of guys. So like again, like they were having, you know, they were trying to, you know, go in and really put on like real matches at practice. So what am I gonna do? Chill, do nothing, practice chain wrestling? I'll jump in and like I'll just work and wrestle, you know what I mean, and referee and like just make it, you know, and have fun. And then it kind of just snowballed from there. And then I did my first ever match was at the old gym on Wirefield. It was the show, I think it was the tag tournament. I think it was the tag tournament show where the Young Bucks won the tag titles and they kicked Dennis in the face. And I think my first match was Red versus Gangone. It was my first match I ever reffed. In the title tournament thing that they did.
Got you.
Yeah. Amazing. Like what a match. It's so good.
And definitely what a start. That show itself shirt. To be
so
your
that was
first.
Like, so then it was like sort of like I never did that because when we moved to Amazura, well, so you know, inside baseball, like the plan originally, like my name was Zachary Snow.
Yes.
Because like the writing, like even though it hadn't come out yet, like of course Jon Snow was going to come back to life. So like the whole gimmick was that I was going to be a ref and then I was going to get like killed by like a somebody. And then like I was going to like come back as like a wrestler who like thought maybe he was from like Game of Thrones or something, or like at least like again, like came back and like thought he was like the thing. Now you might be thinking that didn't House of Glory maybe do a gimmick like that? And you would be correct, but it just wasn't with me. So
I was going to say, I remember us filming a promo like that.
Shout out to RB3 for used to being a referee.
It was
and then
Burgundy.
Getting killed
I was
and
like,
coming back to life.
I helped Hodge film that.
Shout out to them for that storyline because that storyline was really good. That they really did a good job on that. Whoever thought of that is probably smart.
I was like, why does that sound like I know I helped Hodge film something like that?
You did.
There we go.
You did.
Okay.
You did. So then that happened. So like so that was kind of like a little bit in limbo.
I got.
But yeah, so my first like that whatever. But that was like the original plan to like transition to sort of be a wrestler.
Okay.
But then so actually my first like official match, I did actually like promo with AJ Orsini.
Okay.
Like a film sit down because I was the New York State Athletic Commission a signed rep or like a signed official for the Gangone versus Bryan unsanctioned match. So like they couldn't have a House of Glory referee who had been on like the bigger shows there. So like Dundee or like Steve Dumang.
Yeah.
So like I went there and I had like a black polo on and like not the regular ref shirt because it was like there's a no DQ like unsanctioned match. I think the finish Bryan choked out Gangone with a chain over the top rope. It was crazy.
Yep.
So like that was like really the first, and then so from there it just was kind of just a snowball into I was always just reffing on the shows and then eventually was doing main events and Steve got signed to TNA and that he was like really one of our major guys and Mark started doing kaiju and stuff. So like, you know, I just kind of moved up the ranks.
Yeah. No, and I remember that. And that's why I wanted to know because I remember even at my point in training there, I remember us always talking about you doing the in-ring stuff. And I'm like, so where did this? And no,
yeah,
it's great to hear the transition.
I had some practice matches. Like it was a really, really fun one I had with Dead Kid, which was really great. And it's so funny now because like I've seen him actually like at Big Show. Like I saw him. We were hilariously both backstage as referees at Yams Day because I was with Bryan doing the stuff with the actual ring setup, and then he was with the Subway guys. And it's just like hilarious. Like again, like wrestling is so small. Like
it's such a small circle, man. This is the insanity of it all, of just how small the circle is and how it happens. It happens.
Yeah, man. When they say it's about consistency, like it's you got to be in it to win it, right? Like you just
definitely.
You know the analogy of the carousel or the Ferris wheel is very, you know what I mean? Like it comes your turn, maybe your turn eventually. Like who knows?
No, yeah, it definitely is. Which now brings me to this point because I have to bring this up. Like when we had Steve on, I always say, if anyone is ever mad that I'm in the business or I'm around the independent circle, there's two guys to blame. One is SRG's own Steve. The other is the man I'm talking to right here. Because do you now remember the stories that?
I mean,
of how we even met and how I even got close to indie wrestling was because of a WinterCon.
Was it a show in New Jersey?
No, it was a Brooklyn WinterCon 2014.
Oh shit!
Yes,
like 2016.
No, 2014.
2014. Oh my god.
Yes, 2014. I was still in my very fanatic stage.
Wait. Was I even at WinterCon with Steve?
Yes.
Okay, because I've also been there with a friend of mine when I like dressed up as Jon Snow. Actually, like I went for my friend's company as like a merch babe. And was like,
you were there with Steve because you guys were both doing the table, and that's where I found out about SRG.
That's year one SRG, bro.
Yes, and
that is
where
crazy, bro.
You told me about Civil War because it was happening at that point, and it begins there.
Yo, the rest is history, bro. Civil War was, man, those were bangers back then.
Yeah,
they still are. They are. I can't.
No, yeah,
like,
definitely.
House of Glory product is probably nearly as good as it's ever been. Shout out to Mike Santana, the House of Glory champion, a true real one.
No, definitely. But again, I always have to make that joke. The shout out
That's wild,
Steve,
that's
and the whole family at SRG.
I do remember that now that you say it. That's so funny. WinterCon.
Yep. It was at that WinterCon there.
Let's go.
And it was because I had a big gold, but it had Brett's name on it. And that's what caught Steve's eye. And we just went into that whole debate.
That's amazing. So yeah, I mean, I've tried my best to really help as and spread wrestling as much as I can. I would never consider myself a trainer, but I've trained with guys that were breaking in and needed some guidance and are now killing it. Hyena and HAM, two guys that are literally tearing it up as we speak. Like I don't take credit for their success at all, but I do know that I was part of that journey, and I do take pride in that. I take pride in them too because I'm proud of them because they're both for different reasons, a lot of people might have said, maybe this isn't for you. And I'd say I refused to allow that to happen. So, you know, I think, again, like a big part of wrestling is, you know, like making it fun, making people making people want to like it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, sharing Super Show with you and telling you about a dope ass show that we're about to have. Like, look at what happened. Look at the transformation that led to, right? Like, and that's every day, right?
No, yeah, it's those small connections, man. It's those small things that, again, full circle here. We're back here. We're now having a whole different kind of conversation that we thought we would have
Hell yeah.
so many years ago. Now over a decade. It's insane.
Yeah, right.
A decade later.
Technically, we're not even here for wrestling.
No, we're not, and that's the funny part. But it's still part of it. It encompasses it. You know why?
It certainly does.
Because
well, especially now. I
of,
mean, recently, and I mean, it's been always in the lifeblood of pro wrestling. And I talked to Santi about this the other day.
Yeah.
Hip hop and wrestling.
Yeah,
right
it's
now,
always been a merge. It's always been the biggest thing that it's like.
Especially now, Swerve on top. You know, Max Caster killing the game.
Yeah, and it's one
Caprice
of those things that you look at.
Freestyles down on
you listen to so many lyrics now, and so much is wrestling based.
Oh yeah,
you hear out even
insane.
In Spanish, like Bad Bunny is one that always made sure to drop some wrestling lyrics in there.
Yeah,
like,
and then Bad Bunny.
So it's always
WWE
been that. It's been that nice merge. It's been that nice merge, and it's one of those where the fan bases are so similar, and there's always that point that it's like, oh yeah, I remember watching this. They'll always know something, you know.
Yep.
So going into that now, again, we talked about your two passions there when it comes to the martial arts world, the wrestling world. So now let's get into that. Let's get into the music and get into one of the main reasons we are here. And that is, how do we find that passion? What was it for you that gets us to this point right here with this performance coming up on the 17th?
Oh, big appreciate. So, I mean, music's always been a part of my life for sure. I'm not going to go too deep into like the backstory, but like, for hip hop, I think like I used to listen to jazz a lot, like as a little kid, like every day when I was like 2, 3, 4 years old. So I think like that really informed like my love. Like I loved it then, and like obviously it transitioned, but also like again later, like my love of like hip hop in that era. So, you know, Wu-Tang, Jurassic 5, Tribe Called Quest, you know, in like Common, Kanye, early Kanye, Lupe, you know, like, and then weirdly, I want to shout out this one specific artist because, like, obviously, like Eminem and Jay-Z and all those guys, everybody knows those people. And like, obviously, yes, they were influential, no shit. But like, when I was in high school, I went to like a Catholic high school, which like isn't like that like relevant other than to say that like I like had religion classes and did shit like that, and so. This one rapper, his name was Modest Yahoo. He's from Brooklyn. He was like a Hasidic Jew. And he's just fire. Like, he's just so good at rapping. And this one song, I like memorized all the words to. It was like one of the first songs I ever memorized the words to. Another being Patiently Waiting by 50 Cent, which is absolutely outrageous for a 14-year-old white person from Greenwich to learn all the words to. But I did do that. So, you know, whatever. But Modest Yahoo, a little bit more in my vein, right? He's you know, again, Hasidic Jew, also white, rapping about like God and stuff, sort of. But like, it just sparked that like the idea of like writing and like being good at rapping because it's like a really fast song. So like when my friends were like, "There's no way you could do that," and I was like, "No, I really can." And they're like, "That's crazy." And then it's like, "Oh, word, you have this like small talent, like you can speak really fast." And so it's like, then it's like, "Oh, word, well, writing and being creative in that regard, like, okay, let's see where we can take this." And actually, hilariously, when I was in Thailand studying abroad, that's what kicked off this journey. Like you're talking about us at WinterCon. I was looking through my friend's Facebook. There was a quote, which I didn't know at the time, but later found out was a Modest Yahoo quote.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah, right. Wild. Like was like, "Oh, that quote is so sick." And he was like, "Yeah, it's a Modest Yahoo quote." And then I was like, "Oh, word, I know all the words to King Without a Crown." And he's like, "No, you don't. That's crazy. That song's mad fast." And I was like, "No, I really can rap it." And then he was like, "Oh, I'm making these beats. What's good?" And now it's 14 years later. And we have like 4 albums and like 40 plus songs released. Pretty chill. I've kept it, like I told this to to Santiago on Turnbuckle Tabloid, but I really did try to like always keep it separate. I did pitch it once to Red, actually, like some music type shit. But I've always just tried to keep it separate, especially as a referee, because like, yeah, I could be like, hey, can I do a set like at an intermission? And like some shows would probably be like, yeah, but then I'll be reffing the main event, and they're gonna the fans will be like, oh, that's the ref that raps, like, oh, that's so
Yeah.
like, oh, and like would never want to take away from like the guys that are doing the real work.
Got you. No, and again,
So-
that is another sign of just that respect for the craft there. That it's like, you know
Facts.
what? Let me keep this very separate. Where again, it's two passions, but it's their own worlds.
Yeah.
And again, especially at the time that I feel like, yes, there was always been that connect, but at the time I feel like it was still maybe
Yeah, it wasn't.
not as
It wasn't.
seen,
It wasn't
you know?
the right time. And
Yeah.
I always believe in timing, and timing is everything, right? Bronco said it, and it's wise words to this day. Timing, papi, timing, everything.
It is. No, it really is. Shout out to Bronco. But
Shout
no,
out
so
to-
now again, we get a show like this, Sinatra,
Exactly.
where it is that perfect mix. You have so many, you have the matches, you have musical performances, you have live DJs. Shout out to Alvin.
Alvin's gonna rock the 1 and 2s, no
Like
doubt.
it's one of those where shout out to TJ for putting on something like this,
Facts.
and again creating something where it is different. It's something that Project Codename Wrestling's always been about creating a different atmosphere at their shows. And now, talk to us a little bit. What can we expect on May 17th from yourself, brother?
I mean, it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be. I think as far as the format, it's gonna be like match music kind of vibe. Open bar, dance floor. Hopefully, people chilling. My music is, I am a white person from Greenwich. I'm not gonna lie about that. I don't front. I don't talk about the streets or drugs or whatever. You could call it lyrical, spiritual, miracle, whatever. But I write music. I'll drop something real quick. And it kind of explains most things. But when I spit it, my mom's always witty and with it, really explicit, often intricate. And I sit and take a listen. I'm dropping wisdom of the rhythm with the written word, pronounce every sound and syllable, not making sure that I heard you. See, I rhyme prophetic. I never sweat it. I'm energetic. Never forget it. I bring that hip hop rhetoric. And that's about it. That about sums it up. You know what I mean?
Look at that. Look at that. Look at the bro right there killing it. But no, and that's the funny thing, because I do remember, again, there's one video out there. I really hope it's still on YouTube, from shout out to Herbal Affairs. The little videos they used to do. There is somewhere where you show off a little bit of that. So if you guys can find it, it's up there somewhere.
I need to get that for the trailer. Toasty Tom, hit me up, dude. Let me get that for the trailer for the show. That would be hilarious. I definitely, Then when they were doing their protests.
Yep.
I joined I crossed the picket line.
Yep, you were one of the few that crossed that picket line there.
No, I will. Hey, bro. All day workers' rights. That's me, bro. I would have said that shit right to Phil's face.
Oh man, I love it, man. I love it.
But yeah, I'm really excited. Again, my producer, who doesn't get to come out a ton, he's a full-time teacher and a father of some wonderful kids. He obviously doesn't have a ton of time to come out and perform. I've had some performances in the city. Shout out Gamba Forest, Artery.is, which are both really great collectives in New York that put on some great shows. And then, the New York Talent Show as well. But I've had some performances solo, but this we're getting the duo together, and it's gonna be the real deal. So I'm really hyped for that. And then of course I'm looking forward to be able to watch the wrestling show as a fan. That's like second on my list. Like, yeah, absolutely kill the performance, but like I cannot wait to like just chill and watch a wrestling show and just have a blast.
There you go. No, and again, that still shows that passion is still there. Like so many years into it, so much time around it. But that love to just be able to enjoy a show as well is still there, which you gotta love.
For sure.
So,
and again, in the shadow of New York City, right? What did Enzo say, right? When Frankie Blue Eyes was singing about New York, he wasn't in it. He was looking at it, right?
There you go. Again, it's such a close commute too. So guys, if you haven't already, make sure you get your tickets now. Shout out to the whole team at Project Codename Wrestling. Again, it's in Hoboken, so close. Such a nice little commute right there. If you're in the city, definitely
and
go
it's a
check
Friday
out.
night. You know what I mean? Like kick off the night. Bell time's at 7:00. Hopefully out of there. 10:30 tops 11, and we're train into the city and we go until 4. Let's go. Woo!
There you go. It's
You know
how
what
it's
I'm
how you
saying?
start a weekend. It's how you start a
Exactly. That's
weekend
how you
right
start
there.
a weekend.
So it's
The
it's the
biggest
perfect
pregame of
way.
the year.
So, but there also something I wanted to touch on because I heard a little bit of it from your episode with Santi, and that is again the love of the arts of it all. Like you started out, even when we talked about the craft, where you were involved with a little bit of an indie film, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah. Shout out. Yeah. So Brooklyn Battle Comedy, we make movies. It's available on independentwrestling.tv. It's an 8-episode miniseries filmed during COVID, about COVID. It's essentially a wrestling Spinal Tap. So 2 comedians decide they want to make a cinematic match. The greatest cinematic match of all time with no connections in the wrestling business and no money. So that's what the movie's about. Starring Envy Young and CPA, cameos by Danhausen, Lee Moriarty, Leroy Green, Anthony Gangone, and like 100 other people. And it was just a blast. It was so fun. We
gotcha.
rented out a bar that was like on quarantine, right? So like it was mutually beneficial. Like we got a little bit of a discount, and like again, they couldn't be open, so like they were getting revenue during a pretty rough time, and that was a big part of it. Same with booking guys that weren't wrestling. Giving them a payday was helpful for guys, and me too. Getting paid for production, and when we were filming, we were able to make it all happen. And that was Benel Hermosen, Lawson Leong, and Hannah Harkness were really the brains behind the project. Hannah wrote it. Benel and Lawson were really the executive producers and really the kind of idea people behind the whole thing. And it was just, again, it was a blast. I was like kind of the wrestling consultant, so to speak, sort of, seeing what was good, and then just, at hands and, technically a producer, but, and in it, we were all in it, obviously, because it's a mockumentary. So
Of course,
we
of
all
course.
kind of get ridiculous. El Gato Shinobi also makes an appearance as well.
There you
I
go.
heard that guy's pretty cool.
I might have heard a thing or two. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
I haven't gotten to see him in person in a while.
yeah.
I don't know what happened to him.
Him and Jay Lyon are cousins.
That I gotta ask Jay next time I see him. I just saw him the other day in a cultural war. He
Oh,
had to
word.
represent Big
Word.
Al's.
Yeah, I don't know if
did
he
his
might
thing
not
there.
remember. You might not remember him.
I gotta bring it up. I gotta bring it up to Jay Lyon one day.
Not since they were kittens.
No, but that is awesome again.
So yeah,
Just seeing that
check it
process, seeing
out.
what you guys are doing,
Yeah, and we're
was
looking
amazing.
to hopefully get a second movie written. Hannah's just been super busy, and we've actually all been super busy with different stuff. And I'm also out of the city, and Hannah was out of the city. Benel was doing like bi-monthly sometimes out to Colorado, so he was like never available. He was wrestling for Primos, I think still is, but they're a great company. Check them out, Primos Pro Wrestling out of Colorado. But yeah, the second movie we're hoping to do something maybe with Pinky or Bones or maybe some little spookiness, get some spooky vibes going,
Well then, definitely stay tuned and keep posted on all
stay
of that.
tuned. Haunted
Because
Ring.
you never know. Oh, well then. Especially with everything going on right now in the city, you never know. That could definitely be something perfect.
For real.
But brother, before I let you go, I want to remind everyone, if they haven't already, make sure you're following the good brother here on all of his social media right there.
Word. Yeah, Zachary Snow
Snow
1. Zachary Snow 1 on pretty much everything. Zachary Snow 0 on Twitter, though.
There you go. Make sure you follow him there. But brother, before I let you go, I do have one final question I have to ask you. That is a question I ask everyone that comes on as well. And that is, for yourself, what is the end goal?
Man, that's such a hard question. I used to think like kind of be like Chris Jericho, but I feel like I can't say that anymore. But like, yeah, I mean, I've never had the desire to like wrestle just to wrestle. And like, as much as that might be like frowned upon or whatever, like I want to wrestle for like a reason, like whether it's putting somebody over or winning, I don't give a shit. But like, I want to wrestle for like a purpose and like a story and like really do it for, again, this is a business, right? Like if I'm wrestling,
Of course, yeah.
The company should be making money off of me and I should be making money. Like everybody should be making money. It shouldn't just be, we're putting on a 5-minute match to fill time. Like, I just don't see it like that. And again,
Yeah.
especially because I have the experience as a ref, I'd rather referee and make those matches better for those guys than just throw it away as like a, you know what I mean? So like, I think, again, my goal is to just kind of, succeed in the arts, help other people succeed too. Like, I working with SRG, right? Like, building up this brand. And like, again, like, some people know more than others, but like, that was always my goal at House of Glory too, was to help them build up their brand and help them expand and succeed. And like, to me, the fact that they're touring now, that warms my fucking heart. But I would have loved to see it 5 years ago. But like, again, it's like, I just want the, again, the arts that I love. I want them to be better. I want them to be more respected. I want them to be looked at as the high arts that I think they are, hip hop and wrestling and comedy, that, like, a lot of people sometimes have low opinions of those things. And I think it's crazy, because I think the level of expression that you can get out of those things is second to none. The level of, I was a psychology major in college. I was a neuropsych major. And there's this thing called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And it's like, what do you need to like really succeed in life? Obviously, you need basic needs and companionship and friends and whatever, and money, whatever, And so but at the top, though, at the tippy top of the pyramid of the hierarchy of needs, the highest one is self-actualization. The need to be the person that you feel that you are, that you could be, like the best version of you. And like, what is pro wrestling if not fucking that? Like, the pursuit of self-actualization to like find, like, for real, for most wrestlers. Again, look at John Cena, Triple H, Ric Flair. Those guys became the person that they knew they could be in real life. Like, yes, it's a character on TV, but that shit is real life too.
No.
You know what I mean? And like, again, John Cena granting 1,000 wishes. You know what I mean? Like, stuff that, the normal an average run-of-the-mill person might not even conceive of being able to do, change the lives of 1,000 sick children. Like, but no, I mean, he, again, never give up, hustle, loyalty, respect, all about this life. Like, that type of attitude, like, going beyond. And again, I want to facilitate that for as many people as possible. So again, if that means I have to, be the best ref in the fucking world for the next 25 years, well, all right, bet. But like, hopefully other refs come around. And Shady's really good too. Alphonse Stevens. Shout out Alphonse Stevens as well. But he's, commentary vibes, bro.
Definitely know. I've gotten to call a few with him, and definitely.
Oh yeah, those have been excellent shows.
Thank you. But no, that definitely works. And again, it shows, though, making those opportunities, helping out others, and again, helping it become something. Like I said, I'll give you guys the credit. Without you guys, again, I wouldn't have found Civil War.
I'll say this, man. Like, I have a few talents in my life. I think one of them, again, is bringing that energy to a room, that lifting that morale. And it's not, again, do I try on purpose? Yeah, definitely. But it's also something that just comes, I hope, naturally, that I can just help, again, help people believe in themselves. And if that's, I've kind of fallen, if that's something that, I can take further, that's what it is. And for music, like, I've never done music for like monetary gain or to be famous or anything like that, partially because, like I said before, like, I'm a white kid from Greenwich. I can only rap about certain things, and like, one of those things is like rapping about doing it for the love of it. And like, I rap about a lot of other stuff, but like, on principle, it, like, I'd rather not sell out.
Got you. No, and again, that is, what's crazy is one of those where it's like, it sounds like such a insane thing to say, but it's like, you have to be real with it.
But like, I'd rather die being who I like. For real, like, you find that hopefully, that shit goes Cloud Atlas. Like, we're Cloud Walker. Hopefully that shit goes Cloud Atlas, and it's real important 2,000 years from now. And if that's the case, dope. But if not, then like, hope one person likes it.
There you go.
As long as one person hears it, that's enough.
That's what we strive for, man. But brother, thank you again so much for joining us here.
Ray Sanchez, the law. I love you, bro. Thank you so much for having me.
Always,
can't wait to see you again.
Definitely, man. Hopefully, very soon.
I'll definitely give TJ your best. I'm literally about to go in the room and say what up to him. So.
Please do. Definitely let him know. All that to everyone watching. Please don't forget, as always, to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people. Respect the craft, and we'll see you guys on the next one.